I watched it on TV.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
You have to also recognize what you're up against. And right now, we're up against the ruthlessness of a Republican Party. And I say that not naively. I don't say that even blithely. That's not a cheap shot. You see what's happening to all the progress we've made in the 21st century. All of the rights that we in many ways have taken for granted that have been afforded since the 60s are being rolled back in real time. This is a totally different moment. And we have to wake up with a different mindset. And not just old mindset in terms of just a collaborative mindset, a cup of tea, and everyone's going to work together to get along, figure ways to advance a collective cause. And that's where the party needs to come in. Democrats need the Democratic Party, not the president, not a speaker, not an elected office holder. The party, the infrastructure, I think has to organize with more ferocity of focus, more determination to set the agenda, set the course, and put the other party on the defense. They are dominating the narrative. The facts aren't on their side, but they're dominating the narrative. And in this world right now, you dominate the narrative, you win.
Okay, so that's California Governor Gavin Newsom, who every time I see him, I hear Susudio playing. Okay, I'm just saying. He does look like Christian Bale.
Ever since you brought that up, all I see is Christian Bale.
Told ya.
I see is him dancing backwards, explaining.
Huey Lewis and the News.
That's all I see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hip to be square. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. But the reason, Gavin, is because it was one guy, one man. You only asked every Republican to pay attention to one person, one man. And that they could do. They can't follow party politics, okay? They can't. They can only listen to one charismatic leader. That is it. That is the extent of the attention span in this here country anymore. And that's because they broke the schools, and that's because they're banning books, and that's because they're screaming and yelling at school boards about critical race theory, a thing that isn't even taught. They solve problems we don't even have, and then create problems for us to solve yet again. I'll tell you something. J.B. Pritzker was here in Florida this weekend and gave an amazing speech for Val Demings to beat Marco Rubio. Okay, he's the governor of Illinois. And a lot of people think Pritzker's going to, also run for president. They think Newsom's going to run for president. I think Liz Cheney's going to run for president on the Republican side. I'm just saying it's too early. We have an election right here, right now, that everybody needs to be registered for and prepared to go ahead and vote for. No Republicans, none. This, they have told you that divided government is a good thing for you. It's the worst thing for you ever. Ever. And the Republican Party doesn't have a platform. And if they do, it's guns, God, and babies. Okay, that's who they are. So I would say give the entire government to the Democrats, and then we can bitch and moan about how things are getting done too fast, or how, my issue is intended to whatever. But this next level chaos, this ain't gonna preserve democracy, okay? It's just not. And I will tell you one thing, no matter what you think about Democrats, corporate Democrats, progressive Democrats, Democrats in the middle, Democrats in name only, they're better than the Republicans. Period. End of story. Pritzker came now, but Pritzker is a billionaire, okay? He doesn't, he's another one that you could say, oh, he doesn't even need this. But he thought things were so bad in Illinois that he was going to do it. He was going to become the governor. And he's been, a fairly decent one. But he gave a speech this weekend that I think puts everything into perspective. When he got to the portion about guns, okay, he said, it's the guns, it's always been the guns. And here's where the Republican game plan is the most audacious. I'm just reading this, okay? They want to distract you into believing that gay marriage, Black history, Disney World, and library books are more of a threat to our children than AR-15s. And if we can't call bullcrap on that, except he said it, If we can't call bullcrap on that, well, then Democrats, we don't deserve to win elections. Do not tell us that a 10-year-old is too young to learn about the history of slavery, but not too young to run active shooter drills where she learns how to play dead if a gunman shoots up the school. Do not claim to support parents' rights until you're willing to protect the right of our children to live. Do not lecture us about crime until you are willing to do something about guns. And do not tell us you are pro-life. Because no part of the Republican agenda is about life. Because if it was about life, health insurance would cover every last cent of giving birth, and childcare would be free. Because if it was about life, we'd have the best family and medical leave policies in the entire developed world instead of the worst. Because if it was about life, refugee children coming here to escape violence would be embraced instead of incarcerated. Because if it was about life, wearing a mask would be no big deal, and getting vaccinated would not be sacrosanct. Because if it was about life, there'd be a bunch of kids from Sandy Hook Elementary School getting ready to graduate from high school. But there aren't, because the Republicans are not the party of life. Whether it's assault weapons or back alley abortions or vaccines or protecting transgender youth or the frothing mob of traitors marching toward the Capitol looking to kill members of Congress and hang the vice president, give me one example of the Republican Party showing up for life in this country. Beautiful. Because they're not about life. They're about chaos and death. They're about control. They're about resentment and hostility and disappointment and telling you who you should blame for that. Instead of saying, we failed you, we're sorry, we'll make it right. They tell you, blame that guy, blame that woman, blame that 10-year-old kid, blame that doctor, blame that flight attendant, blame that school teacher. Blame that farmer. There's always somebody. There's always somebody you can blame. And that's what the Republicans are good at. Blaming and breaking. That's it. They don't give a damn about your life. They don't give a damn about my life. They don't give a damn about your children's lives. They don't give a damn about children in schools at 5 and 6 and 7 playing dead. Because they want guns everywhere all the time to create even more chaos and more confusion and more fear. When Mitch McConnell was asked, how would the Republicans govern if they reclaimed both houses, the House and the Senate? He said, quote, "That's a very good question, and I'll let you know when we take it back." The blueprint for America tells you exactly how they would govern. And it ain't pretty. Don't have time to listen to the live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to randyrhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.